All right, we're live. We're live. We're live. Let's see if we can bring that over the mic over a little bit there. We are live. And people are like, hey, where have Lawyer Henderson TV been? Man, been doing a lot of filming, As you know, we're doing Davia and Michaela, our independent film. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe. ScrewTube been messing with our feed. ScrewTube has been basically on us. Folks, we basically here on the Lawyer Henderson podcast show have been, we've been on a shallow ban ever since we started, And we've been telling folks, man, the black media is necessary. The black media is necessary. And today, the reason why we basically can give you an example of why it's necessary, because just like what we have to talk about today, we told you all who were basically voting for Jim Crow Joe Biden, we said that this man do not like black folks. Okay? And all of y'all was up there talking about, oh, let's vote for, you got to get Trump out of office. You got to get Trump out of office, man. Y'all got to get that Trump out of office. We told you that Jim Crow Joe Biden is worse than Trump. We explained to you that Jim Crow Joe Biden is worse than Trump. Now it have came out, according to the Wall Street Journal, that Jim Crow Joe Biden want to take yours and my tax dollars to pay illegal immigrants who was supposedly separated at the border from their family or their parents $450,000. Can you believe it? Can you believe Jim Crow Joe Biden wants to do that? Then his administration came out and said, no, that's not true. That's not true. We're not giving these immigrants taxpayers' dollars. Well, look at the ACLU. I can't stand the ACLU because the ACLU is, what lawsuit has the ACLU filed for black folks? You see, everybody is trying to basically ignore black people. And this has been the white supremacist strategy ever since slavery. But before we get into that, like, share, subscribe. Let's talk about some updates here that I wanted to tell you. I'm so glad that I'm back. Y'all have missed me. And share your, you can like the page, the YouTube page. Also, write in the commentary if you believe that the immigrants should get some type of reparations payments because they were separated at the border. But before we get deeper into that, and we're going to go deep into it tonight, this morning, because we're at 10:17 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time. An update on Kyle Rittenhouse. He is on trial for killing, I think he killed 2 people during the Black Lives Matter protests involving George Floyd. Many of the video found in his trial by police came from social media. Rittenhouse is now 18, which is he's an adult, faces life in prison. His attorney says that it was self-defense, but others say that this is a vigilante situation. Rittenhouse traveled to Kenosha from his home in Illinois. He basically claims that he was going down there to protect personal property. He's talking about white folks' property. Prosecutor said he was an instigator, while his attorney said that he was a victim, that he was basically trying to protect himself, which he claims self-defense. But the question is why did his mother take him down there, drive him down there in the first place? She should also be on trial for taking her son down there to participate in this rally and bringing a gun. She should be, because this guy, this young man should not have had possession of a gun. He was, I think, 16 or 17 at the time. So we know that she basically is at fault as well. But we'll see what happened. His trial has started. Also, to give you also updates on Grandmaster Jay, he's already been arraigned. And according to the sources, several sources, he's been charged, he's pleaded not guilty to 7 counts of wanton endangerment. It has been reported that Grandmaster Jay, they accused him, of course, as you know, had pointed a gun at federal agents when he was in Louisville, Kentucky. He had pointed a gun up into federal agents in the Louisville police when he was in Kentucky protesting the unjust killings of Breonna Taylor. So far, his GoFundMe account, in which I have myself donated to, have reached over 177,867. This is a grassroots effort for the legal defense fund that he would need in order to help. His bond has been set for, I think it was $500,000. Of course, that's only 10%. So I'm thinking that he did already pay that with the $177,867 that he got from GoFundMe. Now, he had also hired an attorney. And a lot of people like, no, he's hiring a white attorney. Well, that's a strategy. When you basically a black man on trial in the white man system, you got to hire another white man. Like, it was good for R. Kelly to hire, Steve Greenberg, but then foolishly he, told Greenberg to withdraw. So that was foolish as R. Kelly in that case. But those are the top stories that Lawyer Henderson podcast were following as well. Other things we want to get to before we get to Jim Crow Joe Biden giving illegal immigrants $450,000 of our taxpayers' dollars as reparations is that the war on Afghanistan, remember that cost was $300 million per day. Even reported beforehand, organization called SIGAR, SIGAR, says that the U.S. has been spending $10 billion more in reconstruction efforts in Afghanistan than at the end of World War II. So that amounts more than at the end of World War II. Now, we all know that the Afghanistan war was about America wanting oil and wanting oil in what they call and describe as the so-called Middle East. We are not on our phone lines today, so do not try to call in. We're asking you to then basically do our chat. And we basically not taking more phone calls until further notice. Well, let's get into our topic today. The Biden administration is giving illegal immigrants $450,000, and we're asking the questions in the black media: where is our reparations? Now, many of y'all have also listened to people like Roly Poly Martin and his sidekick chick, who talking about, look here, you dumb motherfuckers, blah, 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 BBB, blah, 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 blah. We need to basically support, Biden, because these are a lawsuits. Well, it doesn't matter if it's a lawsuit, okay? They broke, the legal immigrants broke federal law. And Roly Poly Martin and his little sidekick chick is saying, beep, 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 but beep, 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 beep. Yeah, this is a lawsuit, you dumb son of a beep, 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 by the ACLU. Well, the ACLU is not supposed to basically advocate for people who is illegal immigrants. The ACLU's job is to really, as an organization, to help those people who in the United States have basically had their civil rights violated. ACLU basically, along with other organizations like the NAACP, like the Urban League, all of these people have became quote unquote for other people and not Black folks. And that is what we're going to talk about today. Why is the Biden administration giving illegal immigrants $450,000? Where's our reparations? We've asked, they told us that we're not going to get our reparations. We're not even going to have a study on it. You Negroes, y'all not getting nothing, is what they told us. But they're giving illegal immigrants $450,000 of our tax money. And we in the Black grassroots, we are furious about it. Now we're going to turn our attention. This is fair use. We're wanting you all to look at what this MSNBC report so that we can talk about it. Now remember, ScrewTube, we are only showing these videos so that we can analyze, and so the fair use provide that we can critique any video online, including on your platform. Y'all need to start learning the laws down there. But here we go.
Administration may soon be paying millions of dollars to migrant families separated at the border under former President Trump's zero tolerance policy. We all watched in 2018 as children were kept in cages, taken from their parents simply because their parents crossed the border illegally with them. Today, more than 1,000 families are believed to still be separated. For more on this, I want to bring in Jacob Soboroff, who's been following this story from the very beginning for us. So, Jacob, what triggered this compensation now, and do we have a dollar figure?
Tort cases, Chris, those are lawsuits against the federal government for the treatment of these individuals during that family separation, what they call the zero tolerance policy during the Trump years. And remember, Physicians for Human Rights called what those families went through torture. That's a Nobel Peace Prize winning organization. The American Academy of Pediatrics called it government-sanctioned child abuse. And so what the Wall Street Journal has reported, and we've confirmed, is that there are ongoing negotiations in which the victims of the family separation policy could be paid out, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars each. But these are ongoing, I want to caution, negotiations. Nothing has been finalized, and ultimately that's going to be a decision that's going to be reached between the Biden administration's Department of Justice and the lawyers for the plaintiffs in this case, which are families that were separated by the Trump administration.
All of which is an opportunity for us, Jacob, to bring folks up to date, to exactly find out how many of those families are still separated. Do we know how many of the kids are out there, first of all? And at this point, after all this time, is the expectation that reunification is unlikely to happen?
I'm so glad that you brought that up, Chris, because there are basically two tracks going on here. There are these civil lawsuits against the U.S. government for financial damages, but there's also the reunification effort that's being run by the Biden administration's Family Reunification Task Force that's headed by Michelle Brane, a former activist who was brought into the administration to head up this effort. There are still 1,000 families, approximately, according to Brane, that remain separated, around 303, according to the last court filing. The parents of those children haven't even been able to be reached by the U.S. government because of how shoddy the record keeping was during the Trump administration. The idea is that the Biden administration will be able to track down with non-governmental organizations, legal aid service providers, people on the ground in Central America, all of those remaining separated and unidentified families, and put the families back together. But when we talk about the trauma, the torture in the words of Physicians for Human Rights, the child abuse in the words of American Academy of Pediatrics, for some of these families, this has been a multi-year ordeal that's still playing out to this day. And so that's very active in both tracks of sort of the resolution of what really was, some folks have said, one of the most shameful chapters in modern American history.
Yeah, money is one thing, but the long-term effect something altogether different. Jacob, thank you for staying on top of this.
All right, so let's get into this. Let's get into that. See, I am livid. I am livid. These people broke federal law. They broke federal law to cross over on a border in which they was trying to enter a country that they know that they are not a part of. And you're going to then, on a behalf of these folks talk about tort cases, zero tolerance policies, government sanctioned child abuse. Folks, we basically in the United States as Black folks have been inflicted in every situation. And we have been told by everybody, the white supremacists, these folks in Congress, James Clyburn, reparations, you can forget about it. We're not going to give you nothing. So we see that white people in America like to continue the benign and neglect policy. Why do you all see? This is what I've been asking y'all to basically comment on in the media. I mean, on my my YouTube channel. That's the question. Number one, why do you think that white people, mostly in government, do not want to do things for Black folks? Why do you think that? You see, we have to start asking the important questions. The important questions is not that they don't know. It's that they have shown a blatant disrespect for Black folks, because what do you think the reason is? The second question is, why is the Biden administration going to give these illegal immigrants $450,000 and basically claim that they're not in negotiation? Now, he was asked about this and he claimed and he responded, and I got it here, that he says that this is garbage and it's untrue. Okay. Well, we all know that we have Afghanistan people here who had flooded during the Taliban reclaiming as the government back there in Afghanistan. And when the United States pulled out of Afghanistan, a lot of people basically was getting up on airplanes and they were coming to the United States. And as you know, they were given millions of dollars, according to sources, of our taxpayers' money. A lot of them are living in condos, living good. So a lot of times that we look at this and we see that the United States, basically, specifically the Democratic Party, has been advocating for everybody else. And when it comes to Black folks, they don't like advocating for us because we basically continue to support this foolishness. You see, it has been Black people who have been running to the rescue of every other group of people instead of ourselves. And so the Democrats have played you all for a fool. Now, I was the one here in the Black media, and I was getting criticized. I said, listen, don't put Biden in office. Don't put this man, don't vote for him. This man, just like Obama, is a danger to Black folks. Remember, under overall Obama, I need to write, and I'm going to write a book on this, about this history of benign neglect. But under Obama, remember, Black wealth failed under Obama. In addition to that, the Black historical colleges have lost, they cut the funding, billions of dollars lost. They're trying to right now at Howard University, they're trying to basically get the president and all the other folks to respond because there are some conditions at the school that has not been fixed. A lot of these students are waiting for their dorm rooms. They have to sleep in the hallway. This is utter disrespect. And we keep on telling y'all, why are y'all voting for these Democrats? They hate Black folks. We told y'all that. They cannot stand you. And we're not saying Republicans are even better, or we're not saying that voting for Republicans is an alternative. What we're saying is that they do not like the Democrats do not like Black folks. You understand? Goes on to say then that Joe Biden had denied this, in which he's lying, because as the news piece, as you heard it, they basically had gotten and confirmed this with the Wall Street Journal, that Jim Crow Joe Biden was negotiating, his administration, all the people, they're negotiating these tort cases. Like I said, the zero tolerant policy of the former Trump administration, and also these government-sanctioned child abuses. That's their claims. And no one told these people to come over here. Why do you think that white people want Hispanics and Mexicans over here and like to basically do a lot of stuff for other people and immigrants and Asians and Afghans? This is not only to undermine Black folks, but this is a constant disrespect that we have seen the Democratic Party do over and over and over again. And yet they tell Black women and Black people to come out and vote for them. And mostly Black women, y'all go out there and y'all vote for these folks just because this man had put a so-called Black woman as his vice president, in which we know that she's not Black, by the way. Okay? And so, therefore, you see, we don't know why the mindset of Black people is like this. We really trying to study why Black people's mindset is like this. We're really trying to study this. Okay? We really trying to figure out why Black people mentality is the way it is, where we can get all kinds of disrespect towards us or afflicted up on us. I want to go to this article now from Forbes. Man, don't bring the ads. And I want to just point out certain key factors here. It says here that President Joe Biden dismissed a garbage Wall Street Journal report from last week that alleged that his administration was considering paying about $450,000 to each individual separated from their families at the U.S.-Mexican border, saying that the purported plan to settle several lawsuits filed against the federal government. You see, they're going to bring these ads here again. Hold on, guys. Okay, it says that the several lawsuits filed against key facts after Fox News reporter asked about the reported payments in Wednesday's press conference. Biden called the Wall Street Journal report that cited several anonymous sources garbage and not true. Biden didn't entirely deny that a settlement was in the $450,000 per person. Is that what you said? That's not going to happen. The lawsuits stem from a policy under former President Donald Trump administration in which immigrants seeking political asylum from Mexico were separated from their families at the border, potential trauma. You mean the plaintiffs? Okay. Now, we had Roly-Poly Martin, and we had his homegirl. I think I tried to find a video of the homegirl talking all foolish. You know, Roly-Poly, anybody who that clown, and he got some chicks there that comes on his show. He got some folks that come on the show, and these are Negroes who has been bought and paid for. They're trying to get a job in white society. They can't get one in the white media. So they come along with their ill will disrespect on Native Blacks. They hate Black people who were born in the United States. And you know that they hate us. You guys know that they hate us. And why, from the very originality of why these folks hate us. This is the 2,000 years that we have known Europeans. They had not basically treated us with respect. And we know that. Okay? Our good brother, Dr. John Henry Clark, talked about this. And we have basically been ignoring it. Now, why would the Democrats and Republicans ignore reparations for Black people? Because they have to basically undermine the original people who they tricked, and it's saying, hey, well, we can basically bring y'all a democracy. You Negroes, y'all come over here. Y'all going to help us build this country. But instead of helping you, they enslaved you. You think that they're not going to deny that they owe you for 465 years of enslavement? another 100 years of Jim Crow and the stuff that you did on the Reconstruction, redlining, this benign and neglect that Monahan report have shown, this ill will contempt of Black Americans. We all know about that. But we just basically don't want to look at the evidence. You understand? Black people, as Dr. Cress Wilson, rest in power, the great mother, Black Pan-African female or woman said that Black people play dumb with racism. You see? Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. We're not going to be long this time because, of course, we just wanted a short radio version. I still have other things to do, but I wanted to come on because I am just upset. We told you Negroes, thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. We told you Negroes, do not vote this man in office. That Jim Crow Joe Biden is not going to do anything for Black folks. He has a sound hatred for Black people. We said that. Now watch when this man try to get reelected, he's going to talk about what he did for George Floyd. Notice that these Democrats, they always talk, whenever they talk about Black people, they talk about them in individual. They don't talk for us in groups. Notice that, okay? They always want to talk and deal with Black folks on an individual level because they understand that you don't promise Black folks anything. You understand? Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. You're never supposed to promise Black people anything. Now, another thing I want to talk about is that the so-called the DACA Act, a federal judge recently had said that that was illegal and that the Jim Crow Joe Biden's so-called pathway to citizenship was for 11 million undocumented immigrants. What he did, what they basically were talking about a year ago. A judge, just like I said recently, we commented on that. We also did a video essay on where a federal judge in Texas said, hey, that was illegal. How could these people step in front of Black folks and other folks who have already been in this country and try to basically even live out the American dream when we have all these folks cutting in line against us? You see, the Black media was basically designed here on a grassroots level because we are basically have taken over. See, we have gotten the civil rights generation. We got them up out of the room. Your old dead Black media, they're no longer relative. These old bought and paid for bootlicking Negroes who goes to the white media and try to get book sales, these clowns are not being listened to by Black folks. Guess who have basically came over to take over the realm of the Black plight? Is us in the Black grassroots. You see, these fools who white supremacists used to put to basically lead us astray, they're no longer, controlling the narrative. And the white media is basically still trying to do the same old thing that they have always done. And that what they have always done is try to put out some fool out there that, whether it's from the LGBT community, other types of folks trying to speak on our behalf, and we're not listening to them. You see, they're upset with us because we basically start to then educate and re-educate the Black community onto what our stance, and our stance is reparations. We're not listening to the bought and paid for bootlegs that the white media try to bring on television or cable TV thinking that these folks are speaking for us. Okay? We pointed out in the black media, of course, that how can you give these people our reparations dollars? That white folks in America owe us more than $17 trillion of reparation and payments, that we have still not gotten our 40 acres and a mule. The Black Grassroots reminded you that our grandmaster teachers taught us about the contempt that white Americans have for Black people that we continue to ignore. This benign and neglect policy that Moynihan during the Richard administration have written shows you that to be true. You see, you can't call a Black person who exposes white racism a racist. That person is only letting you know how this is affecting the Black community. And as many podcasters in the Black community and the Black grassroots media have been pointing out, that by 2050, Black people will have no wealth. Okay? We have to recognize that we are in a state of emergency. Dr. Claude Anderson is just one person. We have to have think tanks working for us like white folks do. We must recognize that our inability to come together to develop an economic system for ourselves. For instance, where is our Fortune 500 companies? We don't even have one. We keep on, building churches. Every time you turn around, we have churches, we have funeral homes, we have barbershops, we have salons, we have we try to do things individually. We have not came together. Self-hatred is already down into the situation. Now they're messing with my screen. Nathan Hale said that Martin Luther King would denounce what I'm saying. He would not agree with reparations. No one should. They are nonsense. Martin Luther King talked about economics, though, Nathan. If you go back and look at their speeches before the white supremacists killed him, Dr. King had a economic plan for Black folks. And that was one of the reasons why he was murdered. You see, what you have to understand about these white supremacists who come to our feed here in the Black community is that they basically have to shine in their rhetoric. Because the ideal is that we as white folks should stay on top and you niggers, y'all should stay on the bottom. That's their attitude towards us. And it has always been their attitude, and they're not going to change it. You can't rationalize with a white supremacist. He's not going to basically change. We talked about this before, where these white supremacists come on our channel, in our chat room, and they like to basically, give their rationalization of why they basically have enslaved Black folks, African people, and why they're on top and we're on the bottom of every political, social, and economic situation here. When we're talking there about the fact that we are not going to have no wealth, as I indicated earlier, by 2050, why do you think that they're trying to give money to Afghanistan and to give money to illegal immigrants? This is to put them on top of us, to undermine us, to make these folks have $500,000. And a lot of them are not even going to come and stay in the United States, by the way. They're going to take that money back to Mexico or wherever they're from, because they recognize that they basically is worth more in their country than here. You see, and we have to be very, very, very aware. We've, we in the Black grassroots, we were already aware of Joe Biden's. You see, when they talked about Trump is bad and Trump is this and stuff, we recognized that Trump is a white supremacist too. But he was one that was willing to listen to people like Ice Cube, to invite him to talk about his Black American plan. Jim Crow Joe Biden said, well, wait until we win election. And these fools have not met with Ice Cube yet on his Black American plan. He would not do it. You see, we have to stop listening to the white version of Dr. King. These folks who basically will give you the white version of Dr. King, these clowns basically are going to use their own rhetoric because it's going to justify them being in the position of wealthy and we being at the bottom, like I said earlier, of every political, social, and economic situation. It was Biden a year ago when he was running for president. Let's basically talk about where Biden says that he'll give pathway, as I said earlier, to citizenship to 11 million undocumented workers and dreamers. And if you think that the Republicans are against that, you got another thought coming. They basically will welcome people to come over to the United States, and they would basically say, well, you know, we want them to come over the right way, but they will still hire them and they still need them because these are people who will work for little to nothing in the farms and other types of agricultural fields. You see? So when you say that the Republicans are really against it, they're really not. You got some Hispanics out here who's in politics who are trying to pretend like they are against the 450,000 to the illegal immigrants in such a way that they basically are, because hell, that's more money than they're making too. You see, as long as they're giving it to them, then they won't have no problem with it. So the question is why the contempt for Black folks? Why is there contempt for us? We talked about the benign neglect policies that the Democrats and Republicans have against Black folks. We talked about this country's way and the people who run it to basically ignore Black folks' problems. Why do they think that symbolic gestures is a way to basically supposedly meet the needs of Black people and not giving us our money, our tangibles, our reparations, things that they know we need for the necessary to survive? And like I said, you can listen to other Black outlets. They're talking the same thing. Antonio Moore and Yvette Cornell was speaking on the fact that they were basically saying that they was talking about vote down ballot, but they were actually talking about voting for the Democrats. But then they tried to clarify and say, no, we were talking about vote down Democrat ballot. Okay, well, but the fact of the matter is that they were basically still supporting Democrats. Now, locally, yes, we have to basically make sure who is in office, like the judges, the DAs, and stuff like that, local, because that do, pretty much affect us, especially in the Black community. But what we're saying here is that we got too many sellouts. We got too many people who are just not listening to us. The Congressional Black Caucus, for instance, these clowns basically are like Phil from Africa Diaspora. He went to their website. He went to Asia's website and Asian organization's website, and he went to Hispanics' website. And what he pointed out, and what I pointed out before, is that everybody is talking about themselves and themselves only. But when you get to Negroes who are supposed to be advocating for Black folks, you got everybody talking about we're going to do it for everybody, minorities, people of color. They got all of these huge and broad language in their on their pages. People of color. What the hell is people of color? You see, we have to make sure that they specifically say Black people, or you're not talking about us at all. Okay, we're sick and tired of this people of color crowd. The NAACP and these civil rights clowns, they are not here to speak for us. We must speak for ourselves. Understand? Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. We're talking about the contempt that the Democrats and Republicans both have for Black people. when it comes to giving us our tangibles. And then on LawyerHendersonTV.com, we've been Lawyer Henderson TV on YouTube. We've been talking about this for a great long time. You see, like I said earlier, James Clyburn said to us, if y'all waiting on reparations, y'all not gonna get it. You see, they only talk to black folks like this because black folks have not put their foot in nobody's asses. That's the reason. You see, we have to start putting our foot in these clowns' asses to get the job done. Okay? So I just wanted to talk about why is Biden giving illegal immigrants this money? And the question, where's our reparations? They're not even talking about reparations. They told the Democrats, they told the black people in Congress and the so-called Congressional Black Caucus, they told them, forget about reparations and forget about a study. You niggas are not getting it. You see, but they only talk to us like that because we participate in a system that has always kept us at the bottom. You see, and that's our fault. That's the black man's fault. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. I'm going to go ahead and close out this video essay, and we will come back again sometime to talk about other issues. Of course, the LGBT community, they basically are still on Dave Chappelle and Netflix. That's still going on. But folks, let's not put Joe Biden in office for a second term. And also to update you, in Virginia, that state had just now turned red. Okay, it's no longer blue anymore because of these, mandates. I'm Lawyer Henderson. Thanks for listening.